we will start with how to define a class in Java. So how we can do this? So it is very simple. Let me save my file first. So I'm just saving here cricketer demo1.java. Now I want to start with the class and object first. So how we can declare the class? For example, this is my cricketer class. Now I want to define here, that is the string. Every cricketer has a cricketer name. So you can say this is your instance variable. Each and every instance, it means each and every object that you create using the class cricketer, which has the value that is instance variable, that is cricketer name. Now I want, that is the, what is the total score, that is the total run made by the cricketer, and I want the total number of matches that is played by that particular cricketer. So you can say this all are instance variable, and this is the simple way. This is known as an instance variable. This is the simple way to create the class. Now how can I access this instance? So it is very simple. I want to create here one more class, and that class is cricketer demo. Now I want to define main method over here. Now how can I access this cricketer name, total runs and total matches? So it is very simple. Here you can create an instance using the new keyword. So you can write the class name, then you can declare the variable cricketer Rohit is equal to new cricketer. So you can say Rohit is a cricketer. Now I want to give the initialization to this instance variable, that is cricketer name, runs and total matches. I want to initialize this, so I'm just writing here Rohit is an object dot cricketer name is equal to Rohit Sharma. Now I want to initialize the total runs, so I'm writing here Rohit dot total runs is equal to, for example, 4689. Now I want to know how many matches played by Rohit, so I'm writing here Rohit dot total matches is equal to, for example, 89. So based on this, I want to calculate the average runs scored by Rohit Sharma. So how we can do this? It is very simple. For example, if you want to calculate the average, then you can declare here variable double, and that is average is equal to. Now using object you can access the runs and matches. So I can write here, that is Rohit dot total runs divided by Rohit dot total matches. So this Rohit is an object, and using the object I am accessing the instance variable. First I assign the value and then I am accessing the same. Now I want to display that what is the average. So here you can print system.out.println, and here you can write that is average is equal to, and here you can print that is plus avg. But whenever you compile this, you will not get the proper average. That is not in a floating point. Let me give the demonstration first. So I'm just compiling this program javac cricketer demo.java. I'm writing here the name of the class in which my main is declared. So I'm writing here cricketer demo. So average is equal to 52. Actually it is not 52, and that is 4689 divided by 89. It is 52.685393, like this. So what we can do here, very simple, you can cast any of this value into double, so your result will be in double, and once your result is in double you will get the floating point value. So here now you can recompile your code and you will get the average is equal to 52.685393, like this. So this is very simple, you can say, demonstration of how to create the class with the instance variable and how to access the same in the main using the object. But this is about only one cricketer. What if I have multiple cricketers? So I need to do the repeat task of this. For example, I need to copy this. I need to copy this and I can paste here for another cricketer. Now the cricketer is, that is Virat, and name of the cricketer is, that is Virat Kohli. Now what is the score? For example, 6,108, and the number of matches, for example, 102. Now how can I access this? Definitely I need to write here, that is Virat dot cricketer name, Virat dot total run, and I need to write, that is Virat dot total matches. Now average variable is already declared, so I can use the same again, so no need to declare it. Here you can write, that is Virat dot total runs divided by Virat dot total matches, and here you can get the average of Virat Kohli. So you can now save this, and here you can compile this, and you can run this. Now you will get the average. First I'm getting the average of the, that is Rohit Sharma, and the second, that is the average of the Virat Kohli. So this is the way you can create the object and you can assign the value to your instance variable and you can calculate the average. But suppose if I have 100 cricketers, so this task is the repeated task, and that is what? That is the calculation. Calculation of the average is repeat over here. The calculation of the average is repeat over here, and repeated task you can convert it into function. So no need to write this code every time. So how we can do this? Very simple. Let me save this program as, and now I want to give you the another version of this program, and that is cricketer demo 2. So this is now my cricketer demo 2. Now what I want to do? I want to declare the function over here, and the function is what? That is void, and I want to calculate average. So this calculate average is the function. What it will do? It will simply calculate the average, and that is what? Double average is equal to, you can write here, that is total runs divided by total matches. And as we did earlier, what we will do here? We will simply cast this into double, and here we will print this, that is system.out.println average is equal to, and here you can print the average. Now what is the biggest advantage? The biggest advantage is you can directly remove this two line. The biggest advantage is you can directly remove this two line. And now what is the biggest advantage? I can write directly here, that is Rohit dot calculate average, and I can write here, that is Virat dot calculate average. So now I have two different instances, and that is Rohit and Virat. Rohit has the name, runs and matches, and I am calculating the average. And Virat also has the runs, matches and the name, and I am calculating the average. Java C cricketer demo 2 dot Java, and here you can write Java cricketer demo 2. Then you will get the average of both the person, that is the Rohit and Virat Kohli. What I did nothing. See, I just created the function. So now what is the biggest advantage? Suppose if I have 100 object, then for each object I just need to call the function, that is calculate average. See here, this two lines was repeated for the every object, so I just put that particular thing into function. But this function is directly printing the value on the console. I don't want to print the value on the console. I want that value in my variable. It means this function is, that is, you can say void function. It means it is not returning the value. It is direct printing the value over here. I want to access the value over here, and I want to print that the Rohit Sharma average is this and Virat Kohli average is this. Right now it is not printed over here and it is not returning the value. So what if I want to create my function which returns the value? So it is very simple. You can save this program as, and that is cricketer demo 3 dot Java. Now what I want to change? I want that this function should return the value. So instead of void, I'm writing here that is double. And what I'm doing here, that is calculating the average and I'm returning the average. So what happened? Total runs divided by matches, the average will be calculated and this function will return the average to the main console over here. So now here you can just print that system.out.println and here you can write Rohit.cricketer name has average of, and that is you can call now function that is Rohit dot calculate average. So what happened? Rohit dot cname is the Rohit Sharma has an average of Rohit dot calculate average, and you can do the same thing over here for the Virat. So now here you can write Virat dot cricketer name has average of Virat dot calculate average. So there are two separate objects and both the object has the separate value. This Rohit is also a cricketer, Virat is also a cricketer. So you can say there are two objects of the class cricketer. Rohit is an object, Virat is an object. Virat also has the value that is the total runs and matches. Rohit also has the value that is total runs and matches. And I'm calling the function calculate average. But right now, what is the difference between the earlier function and this function? Earlier function directly printing the average over here and this function return me the average and that average I am accessing over here. This is the difference. So I'm just saving this and I'm just making here that is cricketer demo number 3. Let me save this and let me compile over here that is Java C cricketer demo 3.java and you can write Java C cricketer demo number 3. Rohit Sharma has the average of 52.68 and Virat Kohli average is 59.88. So now I'm doing what? This function is returning the average and that I am accessing over here in this main function. But sometimes people says that, sir, should I need to assign the value every time over here? Can I assign this value in a function? It means can I write the function which takes the parameter of the total runs, matches and the name? Yes, you can. For example, see here, suppose if you have 100 object, then 100 times you need to assign this. So this is again a redundant code. I need to write 3 times over here. So is there any way to resolve this? Yes. You can create your own function which takes the parameter from the user and you can initialize to your object. So how we can do this? Let me save this program as that is cricketer demo 4.java. Let me make it here cricketer demo 4. Now what I want to do? I don't want to initialize the value over here that is the Rohit dot cricketer name and Rohit dot total runs and matches. So what we can do here? We can create here one function and that is void set cricketer. So this set cricketer will do what? This set cricketer will take the value and that is you can say string name integer runs integer matches. So I'm declaring here 3 variables string name runs and matches and that I will get from the user. So now this is Rohit Sharma, that is you can say the name runs and matches. So here you can call the function Rohit dot, now I can call the function set cricketer. So here you can provide the value and that is what? Rohit Sharma. Total runs 4689. Total matches 89. So what is the biggest advantage here? No need to write this 3 lines. Now I can call the function Rohit.setCricketer and I can assign the value Rohit Sharma 4689 is the total run and 89 is the total matches. So here what we can do? Instead of see this is cricketer name total runs, I need to initialize this in a function. So instead of this initialization in a main function, you can initialize in your class, in your function. So here you can write cricketer name is equal to the name that you have provided. So this cricketer name is your instance variable. Your instance variable will get the name that user has provided the value. Here you can write that is total runs is equal to runs that user is providing. And here you can write that is total matches is equal to the matches that user provide. So now what is the biggest advantage? Instead of writing these three lines, that is Virat.cricketer name, Virat.total matches and Virat.total runs, I can write directly Virat.sat cricketer. And here you can provide the value that is Virat Kohli. Here you can provide the runs scored by Virat Kohli 6108 and the total matches, for example, 102. Now what is the biggest advantage? This code is reduced. I just need to pass this in a function. So this value will be assigned over here, and based on the assigned value, my function that is calculate average will calculate the total runs and total matches, and I will get the same. Let me save this. That is the cricketer demo 4. Let me compile over here. That is Java C cricketer demo 4.java, and let me run this Java cricketer demo 4. So I will get the same result. That is Rohit Sharma has the average of 52 and the Virat Kohli has the average of 59. But what is the difference? The difference is the repeated task of assigning the value I converted into the function, and you can add the method which takes the parameter from the user and you can initialize to your variable. But see, if you look carefully over here, then here I need to declare the two variables. This CNAME is definitely my instance variable, and this name is the value that user has provided, that is Rohit Sharma. But I want to declare the same variable, that is the CNAME over here, the same variable I want to declare over here. Can I? Yes, you can. But for that, I want to give you one more demo. So I'm just saving this as that is cricketer demo 5.java. Let me make it here cricketer demo 5 first. Now here, see what happened. This is known as an instance variable. So your instance variable can be accessed using the keyword, and that is known as a this. So you can write this dot cricketer name is equal to the name that user has provided. What user has provided? Rohit Sharma. So your Rohit Sharma will be assigned to your current instance. Here you can write this dot total runs is equal to runs. So this dot total runs means current instance value will be equal to runs that user has provided, that is 4689. And here you can write that is this dot total matches is equal to matches that user has provided. So what are the matches user has provided? That is the 89 over here and 102 over here. So this value will be assigned to your current instance. So now there are two different variables. This is CNAME, that is you can say instance variable, and this name is your formal parameter. But if you want to write here, that is the cricketer name over here. For example, if you are writing cricketer name, and if you are not writing this, then your formal parameter value will be assigned to itself only, and your actual instance variable will not be initialized. So in this case, if you want to write here CNAME, if you want to write here total runs, and if you want to write over here, and that is total matches, then here you can write this dot name, it means this current instance, and here you can directly write that is cricketer name. So this cricketer name will refer to your formal parameter that user has provided, and this total runs is point to the instance variable, and here if you write total runs, then it points to the formal parameter. This total matches is the instance variable, and this matches is the total matches that user has provided, right? So you can write like this. Now you can save this and you can compile your code, that is Java C cricketer demo 5.java, and now you can write Java cricketer demo 5. You will get the same result. But what is the biggest advantage? The biggest advantage is now I don't need to write the different name of my variable. I can write the same name, and even I can distinguish this both. Why? Because this refers to current instance. So using current instance, I can initialize the same. But this all I did using the function. Sometimes people says that, sir, we already need to create the object, and for the object we need to create the constructor. Is this possible? Whenever I create the object, I want to initialize the value. Yes, you can, and you can initialize the value in the constructor. Whenever you want to create the object, you need to call the constructor. So, is it possible to initialize the value whenever you call the constructor? Yes, definitely you can do this. So, instead of writing all this in a function, if you want to create the constructor, and that is parameterized constructor, then you can do this. So, for example, let me give the another demo, and that is cricketer demo number 6. Now, I'm writing here that is class cricketer demo 6. Now, what is the biggest benefit? For example, please see carefully. I am writing here the constructor, that is cricketer. How to declare the constructor? It is very simple. Whenever you want to declare the constructor, you just need to write the name of the class. And it is used to initialize the value. Now I am writing the initialization, that is cricketer name is equal to Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar. So this is the name of the cricketer that I assign, and that is the default value. Total runs scored by Sachin is equal to, for example, 20,000, and total matches played by the Sachin, and that is, for example, 390. Now I want to create an object. So what is the wonderful benefit of this? Here you can write cricketer, and that is Sachin is equal to new cricketer, and here you can just call, and that is what you can call the same line to calculate the average. So here you can write Sachin dot name has average of Sachin dot calculate average. So what is the benefit over here? This is the default constructor, and default constructor has the value that is default. So default value is Sachin Tendulkar, total runs and total matches. So you can save this, and here you can compile this Java C cricketer demo 6.java. Now you can run this, so you will get the idea. Now I can calculate the average of Sachin as well as Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. But Sachin average is coming from where? It is average is coming from average function, and the value is coming from the default constructor. If you look carefully over here in the initialization, then there are three different objects. This two object has the value that is initialized using the set cricketer function, and this Sachin has the value that is coming from the default constructor. But what is the disadvantage of this? The disadvantage is, suppose if you are creating another object, right? Suppose this my object is, and that object is, for example, Ajay. Now I'm calling here that is Ajay dot cricketer name, and I'm calling here that is Ajay dot calculate average. So now I want to call Ajay dot average and Sachin dot average both. But if you run this, what happened? Whenever you compile and run this, you will get both the times Sachin Tendulkar average. I'm not getting the average of Ajay. Why? Because this is the default constructor, and default constructor has the default value, and the default value is Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar. So instead of passing the value over here in the default, you can create here the constructor which takes the parameter, right? So how we can do this? Very simple. I can write here that is cricketer, and I can do the same task that I did in the function. It means I want cricketer name, total runs and total matches, and I can do the same thing that I did over here in the set cricketer function. Now what is the advantage? The advantage is if you want to create an object of Ajay, then now here you can pass the value in a constructor. You can write here that is Ajay Jadeja. What is the total runs scored by the Ajay Jadeja? The total runs is 3142 and matches, for example, 102. And whenever you call this, whenever you compile this and whenever you run this, you will get the idea that the Sachin Tendulkar average is 51.28, Ajay Jadeja average is 30.80, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli. There are 4 different objects. Rohit and Virat, both initialization is done using the function. But Sachin initialization is done using the constructor and Ajay initialization is done using the constructor. Now what is the advantage? Suppose if you are providing the value in a constructor, then the object created with that particular value, and if you are not providing the value, then the object will be created with the default value, and the same name of the class is known as a constructor. Function declared with the same name of the class is known as a constructor. This is the default constructor, and whenever you are writing the constructor with the parameterized and default both, this fundamental is known as a constructor overloading. In Java, if you are not creating the constructor, then by default constructor is added into the class. But if you are declaring the default constructor, then the default constructor will be added. Once you are assigning the default constructor over here, for example, Rohit, and I am calling the new cricketer, then definitely Rohit has the value of Sachin over here. But then I am setting the value that is set cricketer. Suppose if you put here comment, then this Rohit object has the value of Sachin. Let me save this, and you can recompile your code and you can run this. You will get Sachin over here. Why? Because your constructor is calling first. That is the default value will be assigned. Once your default value is assigned, I am reinitializing the value of cricketer over here. So I am calling the function. So whatever you did last, it will be considered. One thing. Second, if you are not writing any constructor, then by default constructor is added to the class, and that is the default constructor. By default constructor will be added, that is the default constructor. But if you are writing the parameterized constructor over here, then the compiler will not add the default constructor. For example, if you compile this, you will get an error, and the error will be what? Cannot be applied to given type. It means the default constructor is not found over here. What to do in this case? Very simple. You need to write here at least default constructor over here if you are writing the parameterized constructor. It means if the constructor is not available in the class, any constructor is not available, then the default constructor will be added by the compiler. Right? But if you are writing the parameterized constructor and you are not writing the default constructor and you are accessing the default, then the compiler will give you an error. Right now, it will not give me an error. Why? Because I written the default constructor. But if any constructor is not available, and even I am not calling the same, for example, let me put here comment, so you will get the idea. So if any constructor is not available, then by default compiler will add the constructor. Why? Because using the constructor we can create the object. So compiler will add the constructor in this case, and you will get the result, and that is what? Rohit and Virat. But suppose if you want to define your own constructor, then you can write here your own default constructor. Suppose if you are writing own default constructor, now you can call that particular constructor. Now you will get the value of Sachin, Rohit and Virat. And suppose if you think that I want to create my own parameterized constructor, then you can create your own parameterized constructor also. But if parameterized is available, then your default constructor will not be added by the compiler. You have to write the default. or if you are not writing the default and you are not accessing the default, then it's okay. So this is what you can say. I created a simple class. You can say this is an instance variable. You can say this is a default constructor. You can say this is a parameterized constructor. You can say this is a parameterized method. Now I want to move towards, now I'm creating a new file. I'm saving this and I'm saving with the employee demo.java. Now here I'm creating a class employee. Now I'm creating a class that is employee demo. So employee demo will be my class which contains the main method. Now what are the instance variable? For example, each and every employee has a name. Each and every employee has employee unique code. So you can say integer employee number. So this is instance variable. Here you can write string employee name. So you can say this is again an instance variable. And I'm writing here that is integer salary. Each and every employee has a salary. Now I want to declare a constructor over here. So I'm just declaring here a constructor. This is, you can say, default constructor in which I'm assigning the value employee number is equal to 101. Employee name is equal to, for example, Ram Kapoor, and salary is equal to, for example, 25,000. Now I'm creating an object of employee. So I'm writing here employee E1 equal to new employee. So whenever you call the constructor over here, the default value, that is the number, name and salary, will be assigned into this E1. So using this E1, I can access this. So I can write here E1 dot employee number. I can give the space and I can write even dot employee name. I can write here even dot, and that is salary. You can save this. You can compile over here, that is Java C employee demo dot Java. Now here you can write Java employee demo. So what happened? I'm accessing the value that is the default value assigned by my default constructor. But what is the disadvantage over here? You can consider it as a disadvantage. Why? Because once it is assigned the value, I'm changing over here. See, even dot employee number is equal to 102, even dot name is equal to, and that is Kapoor Ram, and I'm changing the salary also. Salary is equal to, for example, 35,000, and now I'm printing the same object again. So what happened in this case? I will be able to change the value, and that is 101 Ram Kapoor was now 102 Kapoor Ram, and the salary is also changed. So what if I don't want user to access this variable over here, and I don't want user to make the changes over here? So if you don't want to user to make the changes, then you can declare your variable as a private. So this is my private variable over here. So private integer employee number, private name, private salary. If it is a private, then outsider class, this is the different class. So different class cannot access your number, name and salary, and you will get the error over here. So you can compile this, you will get the error. You cannot access this. Why? Because this has a private access, this has a private access, this has a private access. So I cannot access this. So first, one thing is I cannot change this. The second thing is even I cannot print this also. So if you compile this and if you run this, you will get an error that the employee number, name and salary has a private access. So how we can solve this particular case? It is very simple. You can write the function over here that is void show employee. So show employee is the function in which I will simply print this value, and that is what I'm just printing the employee number, employee name and employee salary. So now what is the advantage? I can call here even dot show employee. Now I can compile this particular code, that is Java C employee demo.java. Now what is the advantage over here? The advantage is I can access the value but I cannot change. Why I cannot change? Because if I'm trying to change, for example, even dot name is equal to, for example, Kapoor Ram. If you change the value, then you will get an error that it has a private access. You cannot do this. Why? Because this variable is a private. If you want to change the name of the employee, then you can write here the public function, and that is set employee name. So this function will do what? It will accept the input from the user, that string name. So I will get the name from the user and then I will write that this dot name is equal to name. So whatever user assign the name, that I will assign to current instance. So what is the biggest benefit? I can write here even dot set name function over here, and I can assign the value over here, and that, for example, Kapoor Ram. And now I can call the function over here, that is show employee. So earlier it is Ram Kapoor, and after that it will be Kapoor Ram. So I will be able to change the value if and only if I'm going to access the public function. I cannot access this value directly, but I can change this using the function. And here you can write the public function. That public function can change the value. But this constructor is always assigning the value that is same. So I don't want to assign the same value every time. So here you can write the constructor overloading. So here you can write the another constructor, and that is integer employee number, string employee name, integer salary. So now my formal parameter variable and the instance variable both has the same name. If both has the same name, then I can write here that is this dot employee number is equal to employee number, this dot name is equal to name, and I can write this dot salary is equal to salary. Now what is the benefit? The benefit is now I can pass the value in a constructor, and that is 1001. The name of the employee is, for example, Arjun Kapoor, and the salary is, for example, 42,000. Now I'm just calling the function even dot show employee. So what happened in this code? You can compile this particular code and you can run this. You will get the value that is 1001 Arjun Kapoor and 42,000. Now what is the biggest benefit? I just need to write here a one line to assign the value and one line to access the value. Suppose if you want to create the thousands object, then you just need to write the object to initialize the value and object to get the value. For example, if my object is 2, that is E2, and the value is, for example, the value is, that is Deven Patel, and the 45,000 is the salary, I can write here E2 dot show employee. Now I can compile this and run this code. You can write here Java C employee demo.java, and you can write Java employee demo. What is the biggest benefit? See here, I created the two objects using the constructor and printed the same, and this variable is declared as a private, and this variable is known as a instance variable. Non-static variable declared in the class is known as a instance variable. So that's it from my side.